is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Garrett Wolf Podcast. This is the number one show for people trying to go from skinny fat to fitness freak, all without giving up the most enjoyable aspects of their life. So, in this episode, guys, we're going to be talking about 3 steps to go from skinny fat to phys fit freak. All right, guys? So, we're going to go step-by-step breakdown into how someone who is skinny fat, skinny fat can be defined as somewhat a little bit overweight, but more or less the average American, because the average American is pretty overweight, with not a whole lot of muscle. They kind of are pretty sedentary. The average American actually only walks about 4,000 steps a day, which is pretty frightening because a normal person, I believe, should get anywhere from 10 to 15,000 steps every single day. That's how much we should move. We're always sitting at a desk. We're never moving, so the average American gets less than 4,000 a day, which is pretty frightening. That's tells you a lot about the average American, the sedentary lifestyle. So that's kind of what a skinny fat person is. Someone who kind of looks skinny with a shirt on, but then when they take their shirt off, they have like a nice round belly, small muscles, lots of higher levels of body fat. Not a very attractive look. It's actually a pretty deceiving look, and it really strikes to the core of a lot of men because they run into struggles of, looking pretty good with a shirt on, but then when they take that shirt off in the bedroom or whatever, they run into confidence issues, or when they go swimming at a pool or a function or anything like that where you might have to take your shirt off, that's where you can start running into some, pretty serious problems there as a skinny fat man. So I'm going to be telling you guys how to go directly from skinny fat to phys fit freak, all with 3 simple steps. The timeline's going to be looking different depending on your starting point, but anybody can do this. This is something anyone can implement into their life immediately and start seeing results. So listen up and pay attention. All right, guys? If you're skinny fat and you want to go to phys fit freak, this is the podcast for you. So step 1 is going to be very, very controversial. Step 1 is going to be contrary to the popular belief. See, the problem with skinny fat people is that 80% of dieters regain the weight that they lost within 6 to 12 months after the initial diet plan started, right? So the typical sequence for a skinny fat man or a skinny fat person, it doesn't just have to be a man, this is for all genders, obviously. The typical sequence for a skinny fat person is they're unhappy with their levels of body fat, so they think they need to cut down, right? The problem is their metabolism's already so low because of the lack of muscle mass that they have on their body that they're going to have to drastically cut their calories to a place that's unsustainable. That's literally not sustainable for anyone other than maybe a bikini model, right? This is exactly what happened to me back when I first started my fitness journey. When I first started, I signed up for a HIIT workout plan where I was doing grueling amounts of cardio in my basement, HIIT workouts every single day for like 1 to 3 hours because I was so just dedicated. I was so amped up, doing like jumping jacks, knee ups, push-ups, random movement exercises in my basement while also drastically decreasing my calories. And this is an absolute recipe for disaster for a skinny fat man, because what happened to me is I started losing fat initially for the first maybe 2 or 3 months, right? And this is what's going to happen. This is what you'll notice. Since I was a newbie, I was making newbie gains at the same time. So not only were my bad habits being reinforced by newbie gains that I was gaining, because I was gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time, I thought I had cracked the code, right? I thought I had the golden key to unlock the chest, right? But this was a huge problem because after 3 months, after about 4 months down the line, my calories had gotten to 1,100. They got so low because I had to keep lowering them in order to keep losing weight. And then I was definitely burning more than 1,100 calories a day through all my workouts and trainings and HIIT cardio in the basement. But the problem was my body was going into starvation mode, and I wasn't even able to sustain the low amount of calories that I was eating every day, right? So eating 1,100 calories, I'm obviously going to be hungry all day long. I'm never going to be satisfied. There's basically only one meal that I can eat throughout the day unless I eat like 3 or 4 maybe little snack meals. But a typical meal can be anywhere from 600 to 1,200 calories, especially we're talking about restaurant food. They can be upwards of 1,500 to 2,000 calories in one meal. I mean, these are unhealthy restaurant foods we're talking about for that particular scenario. But even so, like, you're not even able to have most meals, right? You have to skip most meals. You're hungry all day. And not to mention, you're just exhausted from all the cardio that you're doing in order to keep losing weight. And what do you think happens when you do a grueling amount of cardio literally telling your body, yo, we're going through this insane stress every single day. We need fuel to be able to burn. It's going to be very, very stubborn with what fuel it picks to burn. So it's going to basically minimize the amount of fat loss that you can have and maximize the efficiency of your body's metabolism. So what that means is it's going to pare down muscle. It's going to start breaking down your muscle mass instead of your fat, because muscle mass is very stubborn tissue. It's harder to break down muscle mass than it is to break down fat. So your body is going to prefer breaking down your muscle first to survive rather than your body fat. So you're going to start losing muscle rather than fat. You're going to be eating 1,100 calories a day, doing grueling cardio, being hungry, tired, and not satisfied throughout your entire day. So this obviously just isn't sustainable. And this is what happens. This is what plagues 80% of dieters. And that's why 80% of dieters regain the weight that they lost initially within 6 to 12 months down the line. So this is a losing mechanism, right? Nobody can sustain this, and nobody should try this for the long term. So step one to go from skinny fat to fitness freak is gonna just be to pack on some muscle, because what we just talked about is the main issue was that your metabolism as a skinny fat person is already gonna be so low. So what you need to do is take advantage of newbie gains and pack on muscle for 3 to 6 months. All right, newbie gains can last anywhere from 1 to 3 years. So in an ideal world, I know it's hard, right? Bear with me, I know it's hard, especially I was a skinny fat man myself, right guys? When I started my journey, I was a skinny fat man. I was around 195 pounds at about 5'9", and I was just unhappy, unconfident with my body. I wanted to lose body fat like right away, right? I wanted to lose body fat as fast as possible, but this is a losing mechanism. I really encourage you guys to go through this little thought experiment with me and just think for a second, like if you could maximize your results and minimize the damage that you're going to do to your body long term. I'm not just talking about in the next year or in the next 2 years. I'm talking about what's going to be most optimal for long-term gains. Ideally, you would really want to be in a bulk for 1 to 2 years. Not a giant bulk, not a disgustingly large bulk. We're already unhappy with our body fat, right? You need to be in maintenance to like 200 to 500 calories to maybe 700 calories depending on your body. But, 200 to 700 calories surplus. 700 would be a lot for someone like me. I can generally bulk on a 200 to 300 calorie surplus. A pretty small surplus works pretty well for me. So that's what I would do, and just bulk for 1 to 2 years. That's in an ideal world, but I know we don't live in an ideal world, and not everyone's going to listen to that advice, and we want fat loss right now, right? Especially as a skinny, fat, unhappy, unconfident male. We want to lose that body fat right now. So I'd advise a 3 to 6 month long bulking plan, but if you're really, really stubborn about it, you can do 3 months. And just bulk for 3 months, that's fine. Just make sure you bulk first. The last thing you want to do as a skinny fat person is cut first like I did for a long periods of time, because that's just not going to work. You can do a mini extreme cut for maybe 2 to 4 weeks if you want to, but I'd advise against that. Even so, it teaches unhealthy habits. It kind of gives you a bad mental mindset or a bad mental framework around fitness itself. And I think you should just bulk, because you're already skinny fat, which tells me you probably like to eat and you don't move a lot. So we should work with what you have, the variables that are given. So you should just put on some muscle. And all this kind of entails is focusing on ramping up your protein, eating till you're satisfied, getting enough water, getting enough sleep, right? These are all the modalities of recovery. But then having the proper training stimulus, right? These are the modalities of a proper training plan. Is you need a proper muscle building stimulus, so that's the training plan. Then you need the recovery, which comes from the nutrition, the sleep, the water, all that good stuff, right? And then the accountability, which is just showing up every single day, or however often you're going to the gym. So these are the things you're going to want to focus on for the first step. So the first step from going from skinny fat to Fizz Fit Freak is you just need to bulk for 3 to 6 months, or ideally, if you're really serious about being a Fizz Fit Freak your entire life, then bulk for 1 to 2 years. All right, seriously guys, I know it's a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not a long time. All right, so step 2, after you've bulked for 3 to 6 months, is you're gonna wanna do a mini aggressive cut for about 2 to 4 weeks, all right? So this is kind of the same thing as the mini aggressive cut that I was just mentioning for the very unhappy skinny fat man who just really, really thinks he needs to cut down weight right now. All right, it's the same kind of aggressive cut as he was doing. But sticking to the plan, you're going to want to do it after 3 to 6 months of initial bulking. So now that your metabolism is raised, right, you've added on an ample foundation of muscle, your metabolism is raised from what it initially was. So let's say you were burning about 2,000 calories every day as a normal skinny fat man, just throughout your day-to-day normal life. Then you introduce working out, you introduce minimal amounts of cardio, you introduce a protein increase, and then you introduce a muscle mass increase. This is all going to ramp up your metabolism to maybe about 2,200, right? So now you're burning 2,200 calories a day after 3 to 6 months of initially bulking. Now you tweak your macros from what they were all the way down to something like a 2,000 calorie a day consumption, daily consumption. I was going to say deficit, but you don't want to be in a 2,000 deficit. You want to be in about a 200 to 500 calorie deficit, right? Or 200 to 700 calorie deficit. Just as much as you were when you were bulking, you're going to want to be in a deficit to cut. This is going to be a lot easier on your body because you're not going to be as hungry, because you can eat more, right? Because your metabolism is raised. You're going to be satisfied because you increase your protein as well. So when you're bulking, you just do about 1 gram per pound of body weight, right? So for a 160-pound male, that would be 160 grams of protein. But then when you cut, you increase to about a 1.2 times your body weight. This is what I do, and it brings you to about 190 to 200 grams of protein, and your body actually burns more calories when digesting and breaking down protein because of the way that they're chained together. Your body uses a lot of energy to kind of break them apart and put them back together in the branch chain, or the amino acids, if you will, right? So this is another strategy to kind of cut down some of that unwanted fat, right? We're going to go on an aggressive cut. We're going to cut down that unwanted fat. Not to mention, you're going to have a base of muscle already built up from the foundation that we just spent 3 to 6 months building. All right, guys? And from here, from the aggressive cut for 2 to 4 weeks, basically you want to get to a level of body fat that you're happy with. So it might take 2 to 4 weeks, it might take 6 weeks, it might take 8 weeks, but it should never really take more than 3 to 6 months if you're really pushing it. Unless you're like obese, right? But or really overweight, but we're talking about a skinny fat man here. And under the definitions of a skinny fat person, you shouldn't have that much fat. If you do, you'd be constituted as overweight or obese. But as a skinny fat person, you don't have insane amounts of body fat. You just have an amount of body fat that you're not really happy with. You have a belly, you don't have abs probably, and you're just unhappy with your body fat and your muscle mass. A lot of skinny fat men kind of get this confused. They think that they're just unhappy with their body fat, and if they cut it down, they'll be happy. But then they cut down and they realize, fuck, now I'm just skinny and I don't have any muscles, and being skinny isn't that much different than being skinny fat. It's pretty much the same thing. You still won't have abs, you still won't have muscles, and you still probably won't be confident or happy with your body. So this is why we add muscle first, because we're working with the variables that we're given. We're working with everything that your body already wants. So work with your body, not against your body, right? That's step 1. You add muscle for 3 to 6 months. Step 2, go on an aggressive cut. So 200 to 700 calorie deficit for, again, 3 to 6 months. But you should be able to pull it off in 2 to 4 weeks. It really depends on who you are. I like to do 2 to 4 weeks because I find that my fat loss really plateaus after 2 to 4 weeks. Especially if I'm in more and more drastic calorie deficits. So then step 3, guys, is you want to go from a calorie deficit. Once you're happy with your levels of body fat, you go from a calorie deficit to maintenance level calories. All right, guys? And you're going to cruise at maintenance calories basically until you are satisfied throughout your day with your hunger levels in specific, right? So when you go on a cut, you're going to be hungry throughout the day a little bit. Your body's not in starvation mode, but your body's literally not getting the energy required to run your body on a daily basis. So it has to pull from its own energy sources, and you're going to be hungry. Your body doesn't like to pull from your own energy sources. It likes to hold on to these energy sources. So you're going to be a little bit hungry. So then you're going to want to switch for step 3. You're going to want to be in maintenance calories now, and basically just eat until you're satisfied, until you're not hungry on a day-to-day basis anymore. And you'll be able to feel this in the gym. You'll be able to feel your strength kind of increase. You'll be able to feel your satiety level increase. You'll be able to feel your levels of lethargy, or your levels of being lethargic throughout the day. They'll decrease. This is something that you're going to have to feel out, and it's something that comes with time. A time of training, obviously. It's something that comes with just knowledge of how your body works. So once you're in maintenance for about 2 weeks, right? This is something you only want to do for 1 to 2 weeks. I want to put a lot of stress on that. 1 to 2 weeks only. You don't want to be in maintenance for, like 3 months, because then nothing's going to happen. Your body's not going to change. The point of the maintenance right after the calorie deficit, right after the aggressive cut, is just to kind of re-satiate your body, kind of give all the cells everything they need, all the energy that they need, and just make you more satisfied and increase your levels of satiety, right? For 1 to 2 weeks. I would do it for 1, but I'm giving you that 2 week window just in case your body needs more. My body only needs 1, so that's what I go for. So say, right, you burn 2,000 calories a day. What that would look like is your maintenance calories would be 2,000. But if you already bulked up, like we said, and your maintenance calories are at 2,200 now, then your maintenance calories would be 2,200, obviously, right? So after you eat that for about a week or two, I would do 1 week, but a week or two, then you're going to want to go back to the deficit. So if you were in like let's say 200 calorie deficit before on the aggressive cut, for 2,000, you want to go back in that deficit of 2,000 and slowly ramp up your calories by 100 each week. This is called the reverse diet, and this is one of the honestly most fun strategies I've found for implementation when going from skinny fat to phys fit freak, because reverse dieting is incredibly fun, because literally each week you get to eat more and more than you did the week prior. So you just know that you're going to be more satisfied. But something interesting happens here. Something really interesting happens. What ends up happening is when you're on a maintenance, your weight isn't really going to move. But then when you go back in the deficit and ramp up your calories by 100 each week, you should be able to pass that maintenance number and go above it and above and beyond it in calories and still lose body fat. And this is because you're adding muscle the entire time while you're on a maintenance, while you did the bulk previously. And if you're a newbie, depending on your level of experience, you might even still be packing on muscle during the aggressive cut. So you're going to be adding muscle the whole time, being a skinny fat man, taking advantage of newbie gains, and then reverse dieting so that your calories going up and your satiety levels going up, your lethargy is going down. It's getting easier and easier every single day, and each week you're going to be able to eat more and more calories while still putting on more muscle and still losing fat on the scale. And that's how someone can go from skinny fat to phys fit freak, all in 3 simple steps, right? Step 1, bulk for 3 to 6 months. Step 2, aggressive cut for 2 to 4 weeks. Step 3, maintenance diet into the reverse diet. So maintenance for about a week, into the reverse diet for about 3 weeks, and you can even run it for 2 to 3 months. It depends on how your body responds. When it comes to a fitness journey, you're always going to be tweaking factors, right? It honestly always depends on how your body responds. I give you these vast generalizations of time frames that you can kind of use, but I always found that the slower the better, right? If you guys know who Greg Doucette is, he always talks about this. The slower the better. This comes to all aspects of life. This can be applied to all mindsets of life, not only in the gym, not only when it comes to fitness, but the slower the better for most things. I understand urgency, and I understand the need to get things done quickly and efficiently, right? But also patience is a long lost art, right? Patience is a long lost trait that a lot of people really know nothing of these days. And you really need to wait. In the grand scheme of things, what are we talking? Like 3 to 5 years? 3 to 5 years of your life? That's like probably a tenth of your life, right? Depending on how long you live and technologies and things. But people are probably going to start living till they're 100 on average in America. I mean, the expected life expectancy is already at 80. It's drastically increasing. By the time we're older, I reckon it'll be at 100, and that'll be crazy if it goes past 100. Can you imagine life expectancy of humans being like 120 or something? Or even later in later years being like 200? That would be freaking crazy. Now we're talking about abstracts, but this is a little thought that came into my head. Can you imagine that life expectancy is 200 years old? I wonder how that would affect like history and things, right? Because they could literally tell us what was going on in the 1800s and shit and be like, yo, you can't forget about all this stuff that was literally just happening. Like, I just lived through that. That's absolutely crazy to think about. That's a gnarly mind experiment. What just happened today was, now we're going off topic, but we kind of already covered everything we need to talk about. So now I'm just kind of going into some things that are popping into my mind, right? So just to kind of recap, right? Bulk for 3 to 6 months, aggressive cut for 2 to 4 weeks, into a maintenance calorie, into a reverse diet, right? So what are we talking about here? We're talking about like basically diet shifts, diet switches, right? Just kind of diet manipulation and using your diet to favor you in accordance with your body's needs, right? You don't want to fight against your body. You want to work with your body. So, excuse me while I take a sip of this Premier Protein. Premier Protein, seriously, sponsor me. This shit is so fucking good. I don't know how many artificial sweeteners you need to put in a protein drink flavored like chocolate pudding to make it taste like that, but the consistency, the smoothness, the taste, the texture, everything about a Premier Protein shake in those little cartons is absolutely marvelous. I don't like them cold. When you make them cold, they get kind of thick. Not very good. When you keep them room temperature, they slide right down your throat so easily. I can literally chug one of those things in 5 seconds, and that's 30 grams of protein. So I'm chilling for an hour on the metabolization of protein, right? Because that's how much protein the average person can metabolize within 1 hour. Not to be confused with you can only digest 30 grams of protein in one sitting, right? Stupid ass claim. Anyway, what I was talking about 2 minutes ago, before I went on my tangent about premium protein and covering the 3 steps to go from skinny fat to fit freak, is what is it, like the James Webb telescope, something like that. There's a new telescope that's like supposed to replace the Hubble, right? And they got this image of space. I'm sure everybody saw it. This image of space. I forget what it is. Some cluster, some cluster of galaxies, right, or whatever. And like compared to the cluster of galaxies that the Hubble telescope took, and it's dude, it's crazy. And it's like, I saw a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like, if you hold a grain of sand up in front of your eye, like to the night sky, that's how much space, I guess, in quotes, that's how much space was covered by that picture. And there's like infinite amount of galaxies, just like the Milky Way galaxy inside that galaxy. I would love to run a podcast with some guests and talk about shit, unrelated to fitness, like the Hubble telescope shit and all this other universe shit. And I'm sure there's a ton of stuff to talk about. That's why I'm super excited to run this podcast. And even though it's a little bit hard to get in front of the camera by myself and spiel what I know to you guys, it's something everyone should do, because I'm just trying to increase my communication skills, my long form talking skills, my storytelling skills. It's going to increase all my characteristics as a person. So if you want to be a high-value man, or if you want to be a high-value person, you need to take your weaknesses and attack them head-on. And one of my weaknesses is long-form speech, or long-form verbiage, or giving talks long-form. I'm good at the short-form talks, but I've never practiced the long-form talks. And doing a podcast every single day really, really teaches you how to do that. And it's something everyone should know, because we're losing conversational skills because of the internet, right? Because of all these phones and how we can just direct message people without expressing tonality and facial tonality and hand movements, body gestures and things. It's kind of a long lost art, if you will. People are forgetting how to do these things. But anyway, that's why we're podcasting. That's why I'm here. Also to help people, serve the people of the world, just give the people my knowledge, and open for I'm trying to think of a word. The word for like neutral, passive discourse, I forget the word. What's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue, bro. It's like calm discourse. I don't know, dude. I can't find it. Wow, that's crazy. I hate that. That is so annoying. I'm so annoyed that I can't grab that word. But anyway, guys, that brings me to the end of this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Garrett Wolf podcast. If you think I had anything valuable to say, screenshot my picture, share it to your Instagram story, and tag me at _Garrett Wolf, and you'll be entered to win some cash. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for listening, viewing, watching, and subscribing. Make sure to follow on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. Go follow on IG. And I will see you all in the next podcast. Have a great day, guys. I fucking love you. Let's absolutely smash today. Peace, peace!